Welcome to IAS Net Study. This is the ethics series and this is the sixth video in that series. In the first few videos, we talked about basic concepts, then essence of ethics, then dimensions of ethics, and then we talked about values, sources, importance, and then role of family, society, educational institution in inculcating these values. Now, there is one last topic that is remaining, that is lessons from the lives of great leaders, reformers, and administrators. Lessons from the lives and teachings of great leaders, reformers, and administrators. See, in the last topic, we had a discussion of values, and here, if you look at the heading lessons from the lives of the great leader, and what are these lessons? These lessons are nothing but values, because you have to answer from an ethics perspective, you have to learn it from an ethics perspective. You know about Mahatma Gandhi, you know about Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh. From a history perspective, we have learnt about them in a history, and even post independence India also we have learnt about some eminent personalities. But here we are not talking about, we are not dealing with their life cycle from a historic perspective. We are dealing, we are handling, we are analyzing their life from an ethics perspective. Now what you have to do is you should learn how to derive values from their life cycle. So what are the values they had in their conduct, and you should be in a position to understand it, you should be in a position to derive it. At the same time, extending that argument, you have to inculcate those values in your personal life. So this is what it is talking about. Lessons, it's nothing but values. What are the values you learn from them, and how do you inculcate these values in your life? This is what this particular topic is talking about. See, while we were discussing about the ethics and essence of ethics, I told you one thing. Ethics, you can say ethics, you can say morals, you can say values, virtues. See, ethics influence man, humans. I am a part of this society, and this social norms, religious norm, customs, everything, it is going to impact my conduct, my belief, my attitude, and my behavior, right? We know that I am being a part of Indian society, and Indian tradition, Indian culture has a very significant influence on my psyche. Now at the same time, if I have a very strong attitude, if I am a very strong personality with ethical consideration, now I can also influence the ethical standard, moral standards of the society. One way I am influenced by society, at the same time I can also influence society. So here are some great leaders, eminent personalities with very strong character, very positive cognitions, belief system, and very positive attitude and behavior. They have left their footprint, or they have given their contribution for the reformation of the social setup, reformation of the country. Now we are discussing their life, and we are deriving value system. What is that support system they had? Why these eminent personalities are different from rest of the people? The reason is the value system, the reason is the attitude, the reason is their behavior. Now we are going to analyze this. This is what in this particular topic we are talking about. So these leaders, reformers, administrators, they not only strengthen the existing value discourse, but also they have redefined whatever there was a need. Whenever there was a need, there was a rediscourse, rediscovering of this value system, redefinition of value system whenever it is required. So life and teaching show us, their life and their teaching show us the way we can handle, we can adhere to value system. They showed us how one can integrate this value system in the conduct. See, I know about the life story of Mahatma Gandhi, I know the value system of Mahatma Gandhi. Then what is the use of it? Me being a student of ethics, what is the advantage to me? What is, how can I get benefit from learning this? Now once I learn their life history, then I know the value system they stood for. Then I can implement, I can inculcate those value system in my conduct, or I can guide this value system in others also. If I am a teacher, I can guide this value system to my students. If I am a father, I can guide this value system to my children. So at the micro level to macro level, these value systems are extremely important to have a social transformation, right? Now let's take some of the eminent personalities as an example, and let's try to derive these values. See, Why is it important is that if you learn these things, then it is easier for you to answer case studies. Case studies also, what you have to do ultimately, you have to derive these kind of minute nuances and you have to express it in your answers, or you have to give solution. This is what we see exercises in case study. And you, by a part of it, we are learning it here also, we are deriving a value system. It means that we analyze things and we are in a situation, we stand in a situation and we take up these values. So the same exercise, the same process has to be applied, has to be implemented for case studies also. Let's start with Mahatma Gandhi, and let's see what are the values, what are the lessons we learn from Mahatma Gandhi. The first and foremost thing is that, before all the satyagraha, non-violence, truth, all these things, one aspect of Mahatma Gandhi you need to remember is Gandhiism. What is this Gandhiism? It is beyond the message, it is beyond the conduct, it is beyond the decisions, actions. It is just the way Gandhi has lived the life. So the way he lived the life, that itself is a message. Giving a message, his writings, we are learning, we are deriving out of it, that is something else. But his entire life cycle, if you look at it, that itself is one university. And that the way he led the life, that itself gives a message, the positive, very strong message to everybody. So Gandhiism, this is one thing, one aspect or value system we can learn from the Mahatma Gandhi. Walk the talk, whatever he told, whatever he said, he followed it in his conduct. And then the concept of God. See, this is a very unique thing of Mahatma Gandhi. He was a very spiritual being and he was a practitioner of Hindu philosophy. But at the same time, he never ignored the rational argument. He never ignored the objectivity. Even though he believed in spirituality, but he never disrespected rational arguments and objectivity. Another important aspect here is, yes, there is a spirituality, there is a concept of God, everything is, like, he believed it, he respected it, he followed it, but at the same time he equated God with the truth. So Satya is Bhagavan. So he equated God with the truth. So spiritual experiences you cannot negate with the rational arguments. You cannot negate spiritual experiences with objectivity. So spiritual experience is one side, objectivity, rationality is another side. Wherever objectivity, rationality has to be there, you have to implement it. You have to inculcate these arguments. There is no compromise between these things, whether it your spirituality, that is internal, and the spirituality is linked to values like truth, values like non-violence. So concept of God is nothing but strong core value system. And then truth, I told you that again, he equated God with the truth. So he placed truth as a foremost, as a most important value system of a human being. So out of all the moral principles, truth has a highest priority under the Gandhian philosophy. Then means and end relationship. Means relationship, you know that where means are important, usually end based theories, you know that it is the consequences, it is the outcome, that is what that the end, the outcome decides whether the action is ethical or not. But here Gandhi, it is a combination of both means and ends. He told that values are attached to both the process, the way you do it, and as well as the consequences, both the outcomes as well as the procedure, both we need values. So means and end relationship, some of the philosophers have taken means, that is the best approach, that is Kantian philosophy. And some of the philosophy like utilitarianism, psychological egoism, ethical egoism, they've talked about end based, consequence based uh, approach. Here your consequences, if your consequences are positive, then it is ethical. But Mahatma Gandhi took a stand, and this is unique stand actually. Here he considered both means and the ends, both are important. Means, yes, it is very important, because whatever the steps you take, make sure that it is value based. At the same time, you cannot compromise with the consequences also. Both the goal as well as the means, both of them are important. So this is another value system of Mahatma Gandhi. And then he talked about Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya, it means good for all, upliftment of everybody, welfare to everybody. Somewhere it talks about inclusivity. So it talks about inclusivity, sarvodaya. Then satyagraha. Satyagraha is nothing but non-violent resistance. Non-violent resistance, here there is an aspect of persuasion. It means that people who are satyagrahis, they want to win the heart and minds of the Britishers. So there is a value system where you are using non-violence as a tool for your demands, or it is a way of resistance for the imperialism. So active non-violent resistance, satyagraha. Again, here the core value system is non-violence. The core value system, we can derive out of it, it is truth here. Then again, non-violence for Gandhi, this non-violence is nothing but infinite love. There is no expectation. All you are there, you're sitting on the street, but what you are expecting is that you are giving your 100% love, infinite love without any expectations. So in non-violence is the philosophy. It is the core Gandhian philosophy, and it transformed into Indian philosophy later. And then Swaraj talked about self-governance. Self-governance means freedom. It means that if I am, if I have this Swaraj, that if India has this self-governance, India is not under the control of any other colonial power. It means that there is a freedom, and he extended that idea of freedom. It is not only uh, the national freedom, the what we were doing, what we were expecting during the national movement. It is extending to the moral freedom, it is extended to the spiritual freedom also. So freedom, there is an extension. Self-governance, Swaraj is self-governance. Self-governance is nothing but the freedom. From a value perspective, it is freedom. And if you dissect furthermore, it is spiritual freedom, economic freedom, and the moral freedom. So this is what freedom from a various dimension Mahatma Gandhi was talking about under Swaraj. Then he was a very strong supporter of secularism. Secularism is that acceptance and respect. Whatever, if your faith is different, if your point of view is different, your belief systems are different, I still respect it. I still give proper acceptance to it in the society. So in turn, this is going to lead to the harmony. This is going to lead to the tolerance and peace at the social level. Eventually, social fabric is going to be maintained. So secularism, the value systems are harmony, the value system and tolerance and the peace. Then economic views, he gave the economic slogan, back to the villages. Back to the villages, it is quite different. If you look at the economic point of view, Jawaharlal Nehru is different, Subhash Chandra Bose point of view is different, Rabindranath Tagore point of view is different. But here, ultimately, the core value system everybody was looking for is economic empowerment. By following this, there is an economic empowerment, and eventual economic empowerment should lead to the economic equality. So here he is talking about back to villages. Back to villages is when particular time, I'm not exactly getting that terminology. Gram Swaraj, yes, Gram Swaraj, it means back to villages. Here villages should be the center of development. It means that here the value system is self-sustainability. Here the value system self-sustainability, it means that you are not relying on other person for your needs and requirements. Now, eventually, this will lead to the economic equality. And he fought against discrimination. He fought against caste-based hierarchy, untouchability. Ultimately, here, if you look at the values, it is the equality, non-discrimination, or any natural bias, social bias we have at the society. So these are some of the value system we learn by learning the life journey of Mahatma Gandhi. So go through with these value system again. Gandhism, concept of God. God is truth. Means and relationship, both means, it is both means are also important, and outcome is also important. Sarvodaya, welfare of all, it means that inclusivity. Satyagraha, it is non-violent resistance. Again, non-violence, it means that infinite love. And Swaraj, freedom, economic freedom, spiritual freedom. Secularism, peace and harmony. Value system is peace and harmony and tolerance. And then economic view is not economic view, eventually it will lead to the economic equality in a society. And untouchability, it talks about dignity of an individual, and untouchability, fight against untouchability, it means that non discrimination, equality, or any social bias that is existing. So these are the value system we learn from the Mahatma Gandhi. So let's move to the next eminent personality, that is Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru, see, Mahatma Gandhi is considered as a father of the nation, and Jawaharlal Nehru is considered as architect, architect of modern India. and he was internationalist. So these things you know from history perspective. Now let's see the various core philosophies or core value system of Jawaharlal Nehru. The first important thing is he uh, demanded complete independence from Britishers. Here, Purna Swaraj. So, what are the principles? What are the philosophies behind this complete independence here? Here, pre-independence era stood for the idea of complete independence. Complete independence, again, it is the freedom. Freedom, it means economic freedom, social freedom, spiritual freedom. So he asks for complete independence. See, if I am independent, I can take my own decision. I am not controlled by anybody. Now, once I get that freedom, there will be physical freedom, there will be economical freedom, and there will be psychological freedom also. When that happens, there will be welfare of the society. So complete independence, it is a value system. Eventually, indirectly, is a value system of freedom. It is a value system of opportunities. It is a value. There is a hidden value of equality also. So this is complete independence. Then constitutionalism. Constitutionalism, it means that upholding constitutional morality. What exactly constitutional morality? How exactly is going to? How exactly he stood for constitutionalism? Constitution is protected by the pillars of the democracy. What are the pillars of the democracy? Executive, judiciary, and the legislature. So, and along with that, various other, whether it is statutory bodies or the constitutional bodies, they have their own work or the own area to give their contribution for the nation development. He made sure that all these agencies, whether it is judiciary, whether it is election commission, they maintain their autonomy, they maintain their independence. By doing that, he uphold the constitutional morality. But the reason, what is the reason behind it? By doing that, he's strengthening, he's empowering the idea of democracy. Idea of democracy, it means that people participation. Idea of democracy is that the it's a path for an even the individual from a lower strata to raise his voice and showcase his priorities. So ultimately it is empowerment of the people. The value constitutionalism, nothing but upholding constitutional morality. By upholding constitutional morality, you are making sure that every individual, the power of individual is not compromised, the privileges are not compromised. You are creating opportunity, you are empowering people of India. So that is what constitutionalism. And then consensus building. See, during the independence, the the Congress INC, it had a complete majority in the parliament, and even most of the state governments also controlled by INC. But it has a significant INC has had a significant influence. The power structure, it was majorly tilted towards Nehru there at that point of time. But even though he had that authoritarian power, he had that political support, but he made sure that the process of consensus building, he never compromised with that. So in turn, this is also an act of inclusivity. The values inclusivity here. Even see, he could have taken decision without consulting the states because he had the majority power, majority support. Even though they were taken into the consideration, and their point of view is also taken into the consideration with serious note. It means that I am ready to give your space. See, this is what shows you how efficient or how exactly you are you are handling your power in your hand. When you have moral values behind these power structure, then you make sure that ethical consideration are considering while uh, addressing, while exercising my power. I am a prime minister, I have the complete power. If I have moral considerations, ethical consideration, I make sure that every stakeholder is considered in the decision making. If I don't have this mentality, if I don't have these moral values, then I am going to take my own decision, I am going to impose it on you. But here it is a inclusivity, it is a consensus building. Even though I have all the power in my hand, even though there is no opposition to question me, but still I made sure that I am taking uh, inputs from all these people also. See, I talked about state, central government. Central government had a complete power, even though wherever minority governments are there, small regional parties are there, Nehru still took their advice, and he still tried to implement these inputs in the structure. And then socialism, again, this is economic or uh, the way you handle things, the administration or the management of economy, all these things comes under it. But socialism, if you look at the core value system, it talks about social ownership. So social ownership, it means that ultimately it aims for social justice, and core value system is equality. Even though this deals with economy, it talks about economic equality. So value system is economic equality. If you talk about a market economy, it is competence, it is the talent, all these things as a value system. But here in socialism, it is economic equality, social ownership. Ultimately this should lead to the social justice. And then again the same, even Gandhi, he had a very strong supporter of secularism. Even Jawaharlal Nehru is also a very strong supporter of secularism. So he told that religion and state, they are two separate entities, and he advocated for secular nations where all religions should exist peacefully, so should coexist peacefully. Then internationalism, see, he was against this act of imperialism, colonization, and he stood for idea of non-alignment also. So ultimately, if you look at it, the principles of internationalism is quite evident, quite visible in the administration or conduct of Nehru here. So his internationalism, it was based on the principle of peace. It was based on principles of anti-colonialism and cooperation among the newly independent nation. This is what internationalism. His internationalism is different from Tagore's, Rabindranath Tagore's internationalism. And then the next value, it is the democracy. Again, democracy, it means that I am empowering people. People have the right, people have the privilege to decide the government, to decide the administration. Right now, here, by strengthening democracy, by he is strengthening the parliamentary, the electoral process, it means that people participation. In turn, by strengthening democracy, strengthening free speech. By strengthening democracy, is strengthening rule of law. Nobody is beyond, nobody is above the rule of law. Everybody is equal rule of law. That is, these are the value, the equality, the inclusivity, the mutual cooperation. Everything is going to be upheld if you support the democratic values or constitutional morality. And then we have a unity and humanism. So Nehru embraced the universal brotherhood. So it is brotherhood not only restricted to the borders, it is beyond that. So human equality, talked about human equality and respect for all cultures. The same thing is we see in secularism also, right? I think this would be sufficient with respect to Nehru. Then let's talk about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and what are the values we derive from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. B.R. Ambedkar, he was a jurist, political leader, philosopher, historian, orator, economist, teacher, editor, prolific writer. There's so many things, but major aspects you need to remember when you talk about B.R. Ambedkar is Dalit movement. The changes he brought to the Indian society, it is long lasting, and the great deal of effort was involved to bring out these changes. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he is the, again, he is also Nehru is considered as the architect of modern India, and the B.R. Ambedkar strengthened that social fabric of this modern India. The three important values you need to think about it: liberty, equality, and fraternity. When you think of Dr. Ambedkar, he told that these are called trinity of social values. What exactly the liberty from his perspective? What is liberty? What he is talking about? He told that liberty is free from oppression. See, entire, if you look at the writings or the lectures, or even if you go through the various articles in the newspaper, he used to write at that point of time. Mainly, he voiced against the discrimination that was prevalent at that point of time. Even it is prevalent now, at that point of time, it was extremely prominent. So he talked about elimination. He talked about all this abolition of all this discrimination, whether it is caste bias, whether it is religion based, everything. So he talked about liberty, it means that freedom from oppression. And he talked about equality. Equality, it means that abolishing caste and every kind of discrimination, not only caste, even gender based discrimination also. And then class, here class based discrimination, caste based discrimination, then gender based discrimination, everything he talked about. And then the third trinity is fraternity. Fraternity, it make sure that there is a solidarity in a society, in a social setup, mutual respect in a social setup. Eventually that should lead to the social cohesion. So trinity of values: liberty, equality, and fraternity. Ultimately these trinity should lead to the social welfare through by uh, ensuring social cohesion. Then we have a social justice. Again, social justice, he strongly advocated for upliftment of marginalized sections, vulnerable section, depressed classes. He was the voice of these people at that point of time. So here social justice, it means that social justice eventually lead to the providing more opportunity. Social justice eventually lead to the social equality, economic equality. Ultimately social justice, it is nothing but fairness at the social setup, fairness at the economic setup, fairness at the governmental setup also. So there is a fairness value behind social justice, is the fairness value behind the social justice is creating equal opportunity for all. It means that elimination of every single discrimination, every single bias. So that is the next value. And the third value we talked about is human dignity, individual dignity. Even in the Kantian philosophy is we talked about categorical imperative. It means that one thing that is non-negotiable and unconditional need, that is uh, dignity of an individual. Here Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also talked about human dignity as a categorical imperative. So dignity, this, you cannot compromise with human dignity. And he told that every person is end in himself. So you can connect it with the Kantian philosophy. There also you cannot use a person as a means to achieve something. And the same thing Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also stood for this. So every person is end in himself. So the purpose of society and governance should be should be to enable full development of its members. If there is a human dignity is prevailed in a society, then it is going to make sure that there is a complete development, there is a complete welfare. So here the value system is human dignity. Here you can connect it with the Kantian philosophy. And then we have he talked about oppression of women. See, he not only focused on depressed classes, Dalit movement, he also talked about women empowerment also. He told that yes, Dalits, depressed classes, they are very much oppressed in a society, but even women are also equally oppressed in our society. And in fact he told that they are the most oppressed of all. Even whether you belong to higher class, higher caste, whatever it is, women in our country, they are much more oppressed. So he raised his voice against women discriminatory situation at the existence in the society. And he talked about rationality. Rationality, it means that we need to have a scientific temperament, we need to have a rational thought process and ethical reasoning. These should be used as a tool for social reform. See, you talk about social reformation, social transformation, all these things, but what do we need for the social reformation and transformation? We need rational thought, we need scientific temper, we need ethical reasoning. By having rationality, we are helping in personal development. This lead to the personal development, and this personal development eventually, see, there are 10 people in a particular society, 100 people in a particular society, and if personal development happens in each individual there, ultimately this is going to lead to the social transformation, this is going to lead to the social reformation. So rationalism is the value, as a value, it's extremely important. So he talked about that rational thought, scientific temperament, it is very very important. And how do you achieve this? It should beyond cultural and religious root, it should go beyond that, then only you could able to develop these things. And he stressed that in order to develop these things, in order to revolutionize education, in order to uh, bring that social changes, political power is very very important. This is political power. See, he mentioned that need of political power. He told that political power, it's extremely important, because this political, if you have political power, you can address the social problems, you can find solution for social problems when you have authority, when you have that power in your hands. So rationalism, there is an individual development, this individual development lead to the social reformation. And how do you bring this social reformation? Through the political power. By developing that political power, you can find solution for social problems. So this is with respect to rationalism. Then he talked about education. And education, he told that it's a principal instrument for empowerment. In order to have a social transformation, yes, we need education. This education will bring social equality and make sure that education lead to the progressive society. So if you look at the value system of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar: liberty, equality, fraternity, social justice, human dignity. And he talked about women oppression, he talked about rationalism, and education as a tool of social transformation. Let's move to the next eminent personality, that is Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose, again, you know the life, the journey of Subhash Chandra Bose. He was a civil servant at that point of time, and he resigned it, and he uh, he actively participated in freedom struggle, but his way of freedom struggle is quite different. The Nehru's, it was different. The Gandhi's was little different, and then Subhash Chandra Bose is kind of revolutionary idea, and then it's different from Bhagat Singh also. Bhagat Singh was extremely radical ideas, but here it is a revolution idea. He resigned the civil services, and he created, or he supported the Indian National Army, all these things. Now let us derive the value system. What are the value system we can learn from the Subhash Chandra Bose? The one common thing between whether it's Bhagat Singh Bose or the Gandhi, it is patriotism. Everybody wanted to, everybody, they were actively participating in freedom struggle. The ultimate end goal was to have the national freedom, and in that national freedom also there were different connotations. Like some of them, it is not only the physical freedom, it is spiritual freedom, it is economic freedom, it is social freedom, because they knew that there were social struggles they were going on. So even the idea of patriotism, it is same, but the color of the way you approach, the way you, the methodologies you follow, that changed between one person to another person. So here also patriotism was a very strong value, and along with that, sacrifice. So his entire life he dedicated for Indian freedom only. He went to the Japan, he went to the European countries, he tried to get the soldiers, as many as soldiers, and he created Indian National Army, and there were logistic challenges. He tried to resolve all these things. So if you look at the entire life journey, he sacrificed his entire life for the cause of the nation. So one side there is a patriotism, and another side he sacrificed every comfort of his life for the country, for the freedom of the country. So even though he was facing difficult, he never felt that he never compromised with that patriotism. It was unwavering patriotism. This is the value system, the patriotism and the selflessness, or the sacrifice, you can say. And courage and boldness. See, even the same sacrifice, the selflessness was also there in Gandhi, but here path of Gandhi, it was non-violence, it was satyagraha, but here it is more of fortitude, it is more of courage and the boldness. Here there was an immense risk-taking attitude was clearly visible. So he was a civil servant, and he resigned Indian civil services, and then he formed Indian National Army, and he told that give me your blood, I will give you your freedom. So there is a courage, there is a boldness to stand against exploitation, to stand against inequality, to stand against colonization or imperialism. It means that if there is something wrong, I am going to raise my voice, I am going to stand against it. This needs a moral courage, this needs a physical fortitude. That boldness, courage, fortitude was there. So these are the value system we can learn from the Subhash Chandra Bose. Then if you look at the entire journey of INA also, the one theme he completely focused on was self-reliance. He never wanted any interference from outer forces, even though he took help from Germany and Japan. But the idea he seeded in the minds of the people, it is that he promoted self reliance for individual. At the micro level, if we have the self reliance, the same thing, the self reliance can be extended to the macro level, at the country level also. From individual to national level, self reliance, it is extremely important. And he supported industrialization, even though the socialist ideas were there, but still he advocated for industrialization. He supported education and social empowerment. And another thing is the gender equality is another value, core value system. We get it from Subhash Chandra Bose. There was a women regiment, the Jhansi Rani regiment, and there was an equal status for women soldiers also in the INA. And there was social ideas. They're also very much inspiring. See, he told that we need political freedom, but at the same time, he did not ignore the social struggles, internal social struggles we were following as a country. It was so much. There was so much division in the country, and these internal social struggles, whether it is caste based, religion based, everything, he pointed out, and he told that we need to understand these things, and we had to be realist to understand these things. So even if you look at the value system, the social ideas, and being realist, we could able to understand the internal struggles. Then look at his let's observe his political idea also. See, if you look at the Gandhi told one thing, that in politics morality is very much important, because politics are not politicians, they are the rulers, or they are going to shape the country. If they don't have that morality, then this is going to impact the overall development. But Subhash Chandra Bose did not support this idea of morality in politics. Gandhi believed in morality, but he told that there is no scope of all these moral aspects in political idea. Ultimately, politics is, with the help of politics you can bring the change. And the tactics of non-violence satyagraha, he never supported it. So he did not appreciate mingling of political and ethical issues. Politics is separate, ethical issues is separate. So ultimately, his thought process you can understand here. And even he was a very strong critic of Gandhi also. Even though he appreciated his commitment, he appreciated his patriotism. Bose appreciated the patriotism of Gandhi and commitment, but he never acknowledged his way of doing things. He said that there is no point in mingling political and ethical issues. It is separate, and this one is separate. This is his thought process, and Gandhi's thought process is quite different. Even B.R. Ambedkar also told the same thing. In order to bring the social changes, we need political power. But again, there is no explicit mentioning or explicit detailed observation regarding diverting ethical issues and politics. But there are three shades. In the first shade, it's a Gandhi, where Gandhi said politics and ethics, they should go together. Then Ambedkar mentioned that political power is very important for social transformation. Then comes Bose told that politics and ethics, it is different, they don't go together. So these three different views regarding politics you should keep in mind. See, even in the GS1 paper also, you can, if you have these informations, you can, most of the questions are dynamic in nature like this these days, and it would be easier for you to answer. So if you would dissect these value system at the greater level, it will be a great help in the examination. Then the next value system we can learn is discipline and the work ethics. So he was very much disciplined. There was a his leadership as a head of the INA, it is marked by strict discipline, and he was a very much dedicated to the cause, and there is no compromise with the cause of the nation, and he was a strong workaholic. And then unity, inclusivity, these are one and same. So unity again as a value. So he united Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians in INA. There is no discrimination, there is no bias. It is the value, the attitude of inclusivity is very much visible here. And he told that there is no place for religion in politics. This is another difference between what other eminent personalities talked about politics. Then women empowerment, I told you that he was a very strong proponent of women empowerment and equality. He created a Rani of Jhansi regiment. Now let's move to the next eminent personality, that is Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh, what are the values we learn from Bhagat Singh life history? Courage. See, Bhagat Singh's way of involvement in freedom struggle, it is quite different. Gandhi's was quite different. Bose was quite different. Bhagat Singh was quite different. The courage and fearlessness. Here, the idea of revolution idea, radical idea, it was very much evident. Later on, he told that we need to inculcate ethical values and all. But if you look at the initial writings of Bhagat Singh, he was extremely courageous, and the fearlessness, the fierce attitude of Bhagat Singh was very much visible. Whether it is writing, whether it is action, whether in his decisions, even though he know that consequences are very brutal, but he still stood for it. And self-sacrifice, patriotism, again patriotism is a value of every individual who involved in a freedom struggle. Along with that, self-sacrifice, the same thing. Self-sacrifice is there in Bose also, it's there in Gandhi also, but the connotation changes from person to person. Here also nation welfare above the personal comfort, like Bose also, Gandhi also, and he is willing to sacrifice everything for the freedom. Now he also told that youth, they are the agents of the change. So he told that in order to bring revolutionary transformation, it is the young people, they are responsible for it, but they should be guided by strong ethics, they should be guided by strong commitment. So active engagement in social and political causes combined with personal integrity. One thing, social and politics is there, you add social entity to it, along with that the personal integrity and ethical consideration. All these things, when all these things comes together, this becomes ethical activism. And ethical activism should be who is ready to handle this ethical activism? Young people should inculcate this ethical activism and work for the betterment of the country. Again, he also talked about unity and inclusivity. So we talked about communal harmony, he talked about unity. He told that we are one, we are beyond caste, religion, region. He ensured that equality and he ensured that social justice. So what are the value system? Courage, fearlessness, self-sacrifice, patriotism, ethical activism, unity, inclusivity, social justice. These are some of the value system we learn from Bhagat Singh. And also he talked about anarchism. Anarchism, he gave a definition also. Anarchism is that idea of complete independence, and this complete independence from religion, from money, from any desires. When you are devoid of all these things, then that is a state of anarchism. So it is a state of anarchism. It means that there is a complete independence. So when you are devoid of desire, money, religion, then your dedication is only for upliftment of the nation. So he stood for inclusive nationalism, and it is not only political nationalism, political freedom, it is also socially and economic inclusivity. So economic nationalism, social nationalism. So inclusivity is another value system of Bhagat Singh. And politics also, he also gave his words regarding politics. He also told that politics, religion, languages, all these things are not required. Ultimately, you are here for a cause and use this politics for some benefit of a society. And he told that hero worshipping in politics, it is not good. Eventually, this is going to lead to the negative consequences. It is something unhealthy. It is something regressive. So he did not support this hero worship in the politics. Again, the same view taken by Subhash Chandra Bose. I think you can see the similar version from the Bhagat Singh point of view also. Then he talked about another value, that is peace. See, even though his methodology is militant, his methodology is revolutionary and radical, but ultimate goal was justice and peaceful society. So again, he emphasized the core value system, core philosophy. If you look at it, it is the justice, it is the peaceful society. And what it is based on? It is based on equality, it is based on freedom. So value system is peace, value system is justice, value system is equality and freedom. And he also talked about rationality, he also talked about education. So knowledge lead to the rational thought. How do you get the knowledge? Proper education. Proper education leads to knowledge, and knowledge leads to the rational thought. So eventually this will lead to social progress, and this will lead to the liberation. Liberation is freedom from every sense, freedom from political sense, social sense, and economic sense. So these are some of the value systems we learn from the life of Bhagat Singh, right? Next move to the next eminent personality, that is Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore, let's see the value system. See, Rabindranath Tagore was the first non-European to win a Nobel Prize for Literature. I think in 1913 for Gitanjali, he has got the Nobel Prize. He is one among the eminent personalities who tried to establish or who tried to introduce Indian culture to the West. Indian culture, mainly, predominantly, the acceptance and the tolerance, all these aspects. Rabindranath Tagore was one among the pioneer to introduce this Indian culture to the Western audience, and is the first European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. We talked about it, and he talked about love, harmony, and this love and harmony, one thing, it is for another human. Along with that, he told that this love and harmony is extended to the nature also. So there should be a harmony between nature and the man. And he gave an idea of universal man. And what is this idea of universal man? It means that Every culture there are some best qualities, best aspects. So he told that we are going to take these best things out of these cultures and we are going to adopt this, and the person who adopt these value system becomes a universal man. So his idea of it is quite different from whatever we learned from the Gandhi, from the Subhash Chandra Bose, from the Bhagat Singh. Here, his idea of nationalism, it is not restricted. His idea is not restricted to nationalism, nationality. It is humanism. Everybody is equal, every human being is equal. This is what he was talking about. And he told that every civilization, the essence of every civilization is love, essence of every civilization is humanity. But what we are doing is we are focusing on accumulation of materialistic power. So if you look at the value system of Rabindranath Tagore, it is the tolerance, it is the harmony, it is the love, it is the humanism. I talked about universal man, he talked about humanity. And you, extending the understanding of values from Rabindranath Tagore, he mentioned few things in his writings. He told that in order to have a strong nation, see, if you ask somebody what is the strong nation, maybe somebody says economic might, somebody says strong military lead to the strong nation, somebody says combination of both these things. But he gave the different definition. He told that a strong nation is that one where citizens or the people in that nation who uphold justice, who uphold the purity, and who have that freedom from every perspective: spiritual freedom, mental freedom, psychological freedom, economic freedom. So in order to have a strong nation, three values are very important: justice, purity, and freedom. And he's a critic of nationalism. He didn't support the idea of nationalism. He told that all a human being, we are all one and same. And he talked about spiritual fellowship of a man. And he was against classrooms schooling. See, he concepted the idea of Shantiniketan. I'll tell you how exactly you can link it to the against classroom schooling. In Shantiniketan, the learning was not within the four walls, it is in the nature, it is among the nature. And also there was no boundary wall, and it is symbolic, it is also symbolic in nature. Even if somebody wants to come to Shantiniketan, they can easily come, and they can, whenever they want, they can leave. Even for animals also, they can come and they can leave. The same thing he extended at the macro level also, even at the international level also. We are transcending beyond the boundaries. All the humans, we are the same, and we created this boundary, but we should transcend beyond this boundary. So this Shantiniketa, it is a symbolic representation of his thought process. And I know you know that he is a Nobel Prize winner for literature, and his song, it has inspired social worker, it has inspired lakhs, thousands, lakhs of political workers at that point of time. And he told that political agitation, it is very important, but make sure that your political agitation should be for constructive purposes only. So constructive social effort should be there in political agitation, not for any other purpose, not for religion, not for manipulation, not for mismanagement. This is not the cause. And he talked about theory of rights. What is theory of right? He told that man does not have to beg for his rights, he must create them for himself. So that is a theory of rights. So I should not beg for my rights, I should create my own rights for me. But at the same time, this does not mean that you have to be aggressive, you have to be violent to create rights for yourself. This is not the case. This is a political rights he's talking about. And he told that he talked about spirituality, spiritual fellowship of human beings, all these things he talked about. But in order to have the spiritual freedom, political freedom is equally important. So he also stood against colonialism, he also stood against imperialism, he also stood against any compromise in human dignity and human rights. So the Gandhian philosophies, the shadow or the inspiration can also be seen here also. And he talked about international unity. Again, he was not a very strong supporter of nationalistic identities. So he talked about international unity. Then he talked about unity in diversity, universalism. So see, he told that fundamentally unity of all the life, and that goes beyond caste, religion, nationality, race, everything. So unity in diversity, the universal man, the concept of universal man, that is what he is talking about. And spiritual humanism. So spiritual growth is also very much important along with other psychological, economic, social growth also. The spiritual growth he mainly talked about inculcating the value of love, compassion, humility, and selflessness. And again, love, compassion, harmony, tolerance are one among the core value system of Rabindranath Tagore. And even if you look at the literature, his literature also talks about these value system as the highest virtue. He consider love as the highest virtue. So love for humanity, it is, see, another thing, love, harmony, this is not only restricted to human. I told you that it is extended to the nature also, humanity, nature, and God. And freedom and individuality, Tagore, he valued that individual freedom. He valued that, see, he himself is a poet, and he, even in the Shanti Niketan, all sorts of different arts were supported here. So he valued individual freedom and expressing these freedom through creativity and arts. So ultimately, by, if you are free, if you have that freedom, and if you can fulfill that freedom in a positive way, then it leads to the human fulfillment. And he supported free thinking, intellectual curiosity, creative expression, all these things. Ultimately, whatever you do, it should lead to the human unity. This is the core fundamental philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore. I hope you understood the values we inculcate, we learn, we deduct from Rabindranath Tagore. And again, harmony, the same thing I had a discussion, peace and moral progress, and education as a holistic development. Yes, he emphasized that education philosophy, it is not only nurturing mind, nurturing or developing knowledge, it is beyond that. It is nurturing mind, spirit of holistic development. And this terminology is very good, global citizenship. So these are some of the value systems, value virtues we can admire, we can inculcate, we can learn from the life of Rabindranath Tagore. And then we have a Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, what are the value system we derive from him? Self-confidence and the strong inner strength. Self-confidence, the statement, the famous statement is, arise, awaken, and stop not till the goal is achieved. It means that give whatever it takes and have the strong inner strength to achieve whatever you aim for. So in order to do that, you need to have a very strong confidence, very strong inner faith, inner strength and inner faith, inner strength and self-confidence. It is a fundamental foundation of all the progresses. So first two important value system we learn from Swami Vivekananda, this is self-confidence or inner faith. And then he also emphasized on education. So education, it must develop character, and once develop character, make sure that it is mind, character, intellect, all the three come together for education. It is not only the knowledge, it is not only the strength of mind, it is development of character. Education is development of mind, development of character, development of intellect. Eventually this should lead to the self reliance. So focus on concentration, willpower, and moral courage. These are some of other values we learn from Swami Vivekananda. And he told that service to the humanity is nothing but service to the God itself. So whatever the work you have got, fulfill these commitments, fulfill your work without any selfish motive. So unselfish work purifies heart and leads to the liberation is nothing but the freedom from economic freedom, social freedom, political freedom, and psychological freedom. So these are the value system: service and strong willpower, moral courage, and inner strength, self confidence. And also he also talked about harmony, tolerance in the society, harmony of religions. He told that all the religions, the path is same, the ultimate goal is the same, but path might be quite different from one person to another person. There should be acceptance, there should be tolerance, there should be harmony. So respect the differences. We have different path, different custom, different rituals, even different point of view. Respect these differences, but we should be in a position to find unity in the diversity we are living in. So we talked about unity and inclusivity, harmony, service to humanity, education, courage, willpower. And again, he was also patriotic, even though we see him from a spiritual lens, but there is an aspect of patriotism, a very strong aspect of patriotism was there. So love for motherland must be inside. This is what he told also. You should have a very strong connection to your motherland, and it has to be very intense, it has to be unselfish, and it has to be spiritual. See, when there is a spirituality in your conduct, then you are your there is a very strong cultural aspect. When you have a very strong cultural aspect, then it is going to empower your future generation also. It means that these things, it will lead to the ethical development in society, and this ensures strong future generation. And see, in order to see, you talked about spiritual aspect also. In order to have this spiritual growth, one thing you need to uh, eliminate the social differences, the economic differences also. So without social upliftment, spiritual upliftment is not possible. So one thing, uplift the masses, get them out of the poverty. Once, see, you cannot preach the spirituality in the empty stomach. So your priority is that to have a strong social setup, so strong social welfare, uplift the masses. When that happens, then spiritualize the nation. When you spiritualize the nation, the culture becomes the ethical culture we can see at the society. And this ethical culture, it is going to protect the present generation, it is going to protect the future generation. And eventually, any country becomes a spiritualization of the country. Eventually, that country can have a global leadership, the country maintains the global leadership aspect. And a few other values he talked about, it is purity, patience, perseverance. And if you have these values, you can overcome any obstacles in life. And he talked about brahmacharya is nothing but control of senses. And this brahmacharya, this is base of strength. See, once you are controlling these desires and senses within your body, you can control anything and everything outside. Eventually this will lead to the patience, this will give you the patience, and that patience will lead to the perseverance, and that perseverance will ensure purity of heart. So this is what he's talking about. This is the value system he is talking about. Along with that, he talked about truth, he talked about humility, he talked about self-sacrifice. See, these things are non-negotiable in nature, and one need to inculcate this value system. And he talked about nishkam karma. It means that do your duty, accept your duty, do your duty, selfless action. He talked about selfless action, that is going to lead to the liberation, not for the results. Work for the work sake, not for the results. Nishkam karma. And I think these are the values we can inculcate from the life of Swami Vivekananda. Sorry, let's, another aspect is he talked about women empowerment also, women upliftment. See, 50% of the population, it's a women population. If the development is impossible unless the condition of women is not improved. They are half of the population, there is no chance for the welfare of the world. He's talking about entire world unless the condition of women is empowered. So educate women. There was a question on this particular line also. If you educate women, she is going to educate family. If the family is educated, then the nation is educated. If every family is educated, then you can have an educated nation. Educated nation, it is a spiritual nation. Spiritual nation, present generation, future generation is in safe hands, and eventually you can have a global leadership. So spirit talked about spiritual equality. See, he talked about equality from a gender base, but he talked about beyond all these physical gender base. He told that he's talking about spiritual equality. In the spiritual equality, he told that soul has no gender. So he was talking about equality. There should not be any gender bias, but it is beyond what we saw in other eminent personalities. He talked about spiritual equality. And he also told that science and religion, they are not opposite to each other. One should complement each other. Science should complement religion, religion should complement each other. Ultimately, science also, with innovation, it is seeking the truth. Religion is also seeking of truth. You are constantly evolving yourself in both the arenas, whether it is science or whether it is religion. And he told that adapt the ancient wisdom for the modern needs. And he also criticized the social evils and social struggles like untouchability, caste discrimination, caste superiority, and religious tyranny. All these things, he strongly criticized these things. And again, whatever the humanity, internationalism we saw in the Rabindranath Tagore, we can same thing. He also expressed the similar interest. He told that mankind transit geographical limitation. He pleads for harmony and good relationship with multinationals. And let's talk about some eminent personalities. See, eminent personalities, we talked about freedom fighters and personalities from that point of time. in the syllabus it has been mentioned about administrators, reformers also. See, what I am taking only two administrators here, N Seshan and Armstrong Pame. But the thing is, so many examples we are going to discuss: Satyendra Dubey and Kiran Bedi, a lot of eminent personalities, administrators, examples we are going to discuss. So that is the reason I'm restricting only to the two administrator here. Even N Seshan also, we have a very detailed, so many the examples we have used it. But at this point of time, at least let us learn how to evolve values from them. T.N. Seshan, he was a election commissioner in 1990s, at that period of time. And what are the value system we derive? Integrity. Why is it integrity? Because he is the one, there was an enforcement of model code of conduct during election, and he was very much an influential personality at that point of time to implement or to enforce this model code of conduct. There was a political pressure, but he did not yield for any political pressure. He followed the laws, whatever the constitutional morality was there, he stood for it. Integrity, it means that there is an established law, I am a civil servant and I have to follow this rule of law, letter and spirit, and he followed it. So the value of integrity is very much visible. He rooted out corruption, he exposed malpractices, unfair practices, he gave warning, he took extreme strong actions, legal actions against these irregularities. And the courage, see, there was immense political pressure and opposition for all these initiatives, but he still stood for his cause, and he remained undeterred. So courage and fortitude, that value we can see. And transparency, whatever the initiatives that enhance that transparency aspect in electoral processes. He started issuing voter ID cards, and he promoted voter education maker. He made the entire electoral system more transparent, and he ensured that everybody is equal before the law. Even there was a prime minister visit, and even prime minister came in a helicopter at that point of time, and even prime minister helicopter is also grounded for violation of model code of conduct. Even ministers were barred from using official cars in campaign. So it means that everybody is equal. He ensured these values. And duty over comfort, that dedication, spirit of service was also seen in TN session. He worked for 18 hours a day. He traveled various villages. He monitored booths in Naxal areas. He fought against all these the wrongdoings that were happening at that point of time during electoral process. So ultimately, if you look at what are the values we learn, it is integrity, courage, transparency, equality, and dedication. And one more administrator we are talking about, Armstrong Pame. He was a civil servant in the northeastern states, and actually at that point of time we needed the in the geographical location they needed a road. He built a 100-kilometer road. Government did not have sufficient funding at that point of time. Government could not able to fund this, but he, because of his innovation, because of his the mindfulness, he could able to go for a crowdfunding, and uh, he could able to build that road without any government support. Here, what are the values we see? The first and foremost is, I am an officer, and if I am taking that extra step to ensure this connectivity, logistic connectivity, it means that I have that genuine concern for the people, I have that genuine empathy for the people. So that empathy we can see. And there is a value of perseverance also. Perseverance, it means that I am committed to the nation cause, I am committed to the people, even though government said that we don't have funds, but I am committed. Then if I am committed, I will find any way to achieve the this social good. So perseverance is another value we can see. Innovation, it is beyond the what usual formal procedures. So there is an innovative aspect, there is a healthy competition aspect that is there, and it is an ethical leadership also. And commitment to the public welfare, trust building, these are some of the values I learn, inculcate, or I derive from the life of Armstrong Pame. So these are some of the examples. See, ultimately what you have to learn is, if you know the life's journey of these eminent personalities, you can deduct these kind of values. And especially after third unit, the foundational values, once you get this idea of foundational values, then you can you will be having a fodder material, maybe around 25 to 30 values. So once you know the life history, if you know the life journey of Nehru, then just going through the journey and you have the list of these values, you can match it and you can write it down in the examination. For that matter, case studies also. So this is how you need to learn these aspects. Especially it is one thing, if there is a direct question from the first unit, yes, you have to write. Even if there is no direct question, even for the example perspective also, these kind of things help comes in handy to answer the question. So this covers the first unit, ethics and human interface. I'll see you guys in the seventh video. In the next video, the next unit is attitude. Maybe 5 videos I'm done with aptitude also. So I'll see you guys in the next video and we'll take up the second unit, aptitude, sorry, attitude. Thank you so much for listening.